Hello. This morning, in some of the comments about David Davis, as Dickens wrote of Marley, business, mankind was my business, says Ahmad Khan, 7228. And another person comments about Disraeli. Well, there's quite a link between A Christmas Carol and Disraeli, and it goes back to one of the things that inspired Dickens to write his only novel. The only novel that he published as a novel was Christmas Carol. Everything else is published as a part of a magazine and an episode in a magazine. And when Dickens was first looking at how to publish, the publisher said, "Well, why would anybody go back to buy the second episode?" And he said, "Well, imagine a person hanging on a cliff, and the readers want to find out if he survives or how he survives, and that's where we get the concept of a cliffhanger, invented by Dickens, along with the wonderful rhythmic language, the wonderful things that the Dickens characters say. They all seem to have their own rhythm, and he's wonderful at identifying a character through a distinctive pattern of speech. But it's in the Manchester Athenaeum. He had written a pamphlet, and he was giving a talk on the stage in the Manchester Athenaeum in 1843, and it was about poverty, and he was sharing the stage with Disraeli. It was one of the three things that inspired the writing of A Christmas Carol. There was that. There was seeing the Saffron Hill Ragged School. He was asked by a lady called Baroness Coots, not Baroness Moon, to donate money to the Ragged School, and he was horrified by what he found. And that's why at the centre of A Christmas Carol, you've got that amazing scene where the ghost of Christmas present is aging and about to disappear, and Scrooge says, "Look, look down there. Oh, ghost, are they yours?" And the ghost lifts up his cloak, and there's two children down there, and he says, "They are man's, but they cling to me. This girl is want. This boy is ignorance. This girl is want. Beware them both, but most of all, beware this boy." Ignorance, and the lack of education was the crisis. Poverty was an accepted part of life, but ignorance was something that could be immediately changed. And and in contrast to this mission to change to change education, to change poverty, to deal with both, you have the Scrooge quoting Thomas Malthus, um, this indifference to others at the beginning of the novel. Well, are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? Oh, I thought something had happened to stop them in their useful purpose. But so it's about population explosion, indifference, poverty, but most of all, a lack of education. And the third feature in the third inspiration of A Christmas Carol, of course, was Dickens' visit to Scotland and seeing a graveyard. And in the graveyard there was this gravestone to Ebenezer Scrooby, who was described as a mean man. Ebenezer Scrooby, and then the only other line on the gravestone was "a mean man," and it turns out that this was a misreading. It should actually have read "a meal man" because the man traded in grain. But clearly the inspiration. I presume that story comes directly from Dickens because no one else would have known about that. And it's quite entertaining. But this was a time when girls were sewing above the factory floor, and they were putting in 16-hour days. That is the job that Martha Cratchit is doing. Remember, she comes in to the Cratchit family, and is thankful, like her father, that she's got a day off for Christmas, and she and the rest of her family throw themselves into that cheap and hearty Christmas, with their mother wearing new ribbons and Tiny Tim being brought back into the family like the Christ child, scattering goodwill, and God bless us everyone. And it's and I hope, and actually I think it's Tiny Tim who has the only reference to Christianity in the book, which is I hope the people saw me, who made lame people walk and blind men see. And so yes, Ahmad Khan is quite right. Business, mankind was my business, and mankind is the business that we should all be in. That is the message of A Christmas Carol, and quite right to see that in the stories which are coming out at the moment. It's quite right.